Let's go.
All right, people. The
Here we
people
go.
of the world.
This is it.
Listen up. I want this to
This,
broadcast over every radio station and every media network in the world.
yeah. Every speaker that is connected to any kind of
like
anything
Alexa starts
just have it
spouting
playing.
this out
Yeah.
in our voices, though. Right? So,
Hey Alexa, play the YBC audio
because
experience.
actually,
Hey
right?
everybody.
Actually.
Oh damn! Alexa's actually responding to me right now. She's trying to play the YBC experience right now. One second, let me go turn that off.
Well,
Oh.
imagine this, right? Imagine that everyone actually learns this lesson here today. That we're going to talk about something called expansion today, right? But it's probably not in the way that you think it is, because the way that you've been taught what expansion is, the idea of that is like faulty on a big level, right? Because it's from people that have not really been expanding themselves within the starting point of getting to their best self. Like no bullshit, like actual best self. Okay? But that's what Aspen and I have been doing for a while. We've been surrounding ourselves with peers that have been doing this for a while. And we've come up with a few things along the way that will really help you be equipped to keep expanding, right? Because if you're ever stuck, you know that old phrase, you're either growing or you're dying. Well, growing and expansion is synonymous, right? And if you're not expanding, you're contracting and you're dying. You're like actually shriveling up and fucking dying. And so if you want to stop dying, right, it might be a slow, painful death, but what you can actually do is expand through it and you become more. You can do more, you can take more responsibility, and you become a freaking beast. So, or if you're a lady, you can be a beastess. Okay. So anything you want to say before we expand into this ask?
Yes, there are big distinctions in the context of expansion, and there are then the consistent expansion. That's always a process. From the and I'll define that a little bit. It's like when you're unemployed and doing nothing, there's a big step that you have to take to get in a job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an expansion that's going to give you a jump. It's kind of like, whoa, like I'm in like a whole new situation. I'm now talking to people on a daily basis. I have to leave my house on a daily basis. It's a big jump. And that is usually pretty obvious to people, right? Same thing when you're getting into a business. If you've been working a job your whole life and you're like, I need to make more money. I want to take steps to actually getting more out of life, et cetera, then getting into a business is a big jump. But generally speaking, at least the average person listening to this should already know what that's about, like what you have to overcome in order to get there. And we've laid out a lot of the points that you have to overcome in order to get there in the context of making that jump into business through our past audios. But this, we're going to focus, what I think, Mitch, where we're going with this is a little more focused on the consistent daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly expansion of being in the thing that you know you want to build.
Yes,
and what that actually looks like.
Absolutely. Cool. Yeah. And so just before we jump in here, let's get a breakdown, right, of the word, of the etymology. And Asif and I will do this a lot. If you don't know the word that you're speaking, if you don't understand and comprehend it and where it comes from, you're like being blind. You're like walking around with a flashlight that doesn't have batteries in it, and you're just groping through the darkness, ready to just get murked. Okay, so let's not let that happen. Rather, let's define and illuminate what does this word mean. So expand comes from two words, it looks like it's of Greek, Middle English, okay, Anglo-Norman, whatever that is. It's ex, which means out or outwards, and pondo, which actually comes from pete, P-E-T-E, which means to spread, okay? So it's like a spreading out. That's what expansion really is. And if you think about it, right? Isn't this actually like what you're doing when you're expressing yourself, you're speaking, you're going to the next level? Like you're taking yourself where you're at now and you're spreading yourself forward and outward in all directions. That is what you need to do. And guess what? It might be freaking painful, okay? Hey, here's a fun fact. Pete, right? This, the second part. So an expand, the part with the P, P-A-N-D, it's the same origin as the word pass, like to pass a ball or like to pass someone, right? It's the same as patent as well. Well, or petal, like on a flower, petal, or pace. Wow, that's very fascinating. Passenger, passport, it's all the same root and it means to spread. Okay. So let's now talk about how to actually do the dang thing every single day. Okay. Okay. So first and foremost, right, this is one that I know both of us have been through many times, Asif, because sometimes we'll call each other and we're going right through the thick of it. And it's your feelings, right? And by feelings, I mean, you might feel like you're freaking dying. Okay. When you're expanding, like if you're not building your business with veracity and viciousness to be able to then really move and accomplish something that you've never done before. If you're not feeling like you're dying, you're definitely not pushing yourself enough. You're not expressing yourself enough, right? Because you will have moment to moment where you're like, holy shit, this is a lot. I'm kind of overwhelmed. This is pretty intense. Okay. So Asif, what's your take on that in general with like the being able to work through the feeling piece of it? Because that will sabotage so many damn people alone.
Probably the biggest point. Like that's what caps us out from actually being able to find the external solution. Let's say it's, I don't have enough leads and now I feel like I'm dying because, I'm not progressing the way I want. I'm actually contracting, or I got too many leads and I don't know how to manage them all, or I track a blah, blah, blah. There's a feeling that comes up of overwhelm.
Yep.
A lot of the time. And a lot of overwhelm equals this feeling of like, you feel like you're dying, like you're depressed. You don't want to wake up in the morning anymore. You're just like, and a lot of the times, guys, for those of you who are listening, who have great difficulty waking up in the morning, sometimes it's not as defined as that. You know how I just gave a couple of examples of, this is what might make you sometimes.
That's it. I'm gonna mute you. All right, that was exciting. So, as soon as you're back on, just let me know. Okay. It sounded like your heartbeat just went to 0 on the monitors, right? And Asif is completely right with this, right? If you are as you're in the process of building something and really creating, you're gonna have days where you're like, this is not enough is happening. You're gonna have other days where you're like, oh, too much is happening, right? And you're gonna think your mind is going to try and trick you into thinking there's this perfect sweet spot where the entire time you can just feel good now, right? You just feel really good right in the middle. And that is a myth. Like you will not be able to just feel good right in the perfect sweet spot every time. Like you're going to have moments where it's like, oh, big pusher. Oh my gosh, I have to like push more. And so rather, here's a more effective way of looking at this would be remembering one to breathe, right? And realize you're gonna figure it out if the right people around you. Don't right around you. I don't know if you're gonna actually figure it out. You may not, and you may give up, and then you just go back to your job or go back to the thing, right? And you go back to staying stuck potentially for the rest of your life. So if though, right, if you're in the Young Billionaires Club, you come on the calls, right? You use the tools that we talk about. Now you have a way through your feelings. Right? One way, when the feelings come up, you can remember to breathe and just persevere, because the more you do that, the stronger you will get. Okay. And it's a pretty freaking awesome feeling when you can have this strength where what in the past would have crippled you or scared you or terrified you or made you want to crawl in bed and be depressed all day long, where in the past that would have happened. Now you can look at it and you can laugh. You can go, well, I remember when that used to freak me out. Okay, this is pretty cool. Right. And then you just keep moving and you keep building and building and building. And it's one of the most satisfying things ever when you can get to that point where you can see yourself expanding over and over. You have a proven track record of it. And then other people too can see, wow, you've been expanding, and then it supports them. Because again, bigger purpose of what we're doing here with Young Billionaires Club is we're here to expand ourselves first as individuals, right? Look at all of our resistance to expansion. So look at that for yourself, right? Make a note of that. Why do I resist expanding? What is blocking me from expanding? Because expansion should be natural, right? Just like your breath, right? Your lungs expand and then they contract, expand and then they contract. Right now with business, you want to expand and expand and then stake your claim in the world system so that you don't contract, right? You expand to the point where then now a new structure's in place. Okay. Now, what would hold you back from that? Right. So yeah, one would be your feelings. Hey, what's up? you got a beeping sound, Asif. I'm gonna mute you again.
Oh man.
Hey, there you are.
How long have I not been like?
It was just
Not saying
beeping, bro. It was just like a solid beep for like
For how
2
long?
minutes. For like 2 minutes. Once I muted
Oh
you.
my god! I said so much
Oh my
gold.
gosh!
And
Say it again. Say it again.
fuck. Where did you hear up until?
You were just talking about like wanting to keep expanding in your business, and if you don't, or if you want to get out of your job and all sorts of stuff. Just take it from wherever.
Oh man. Okay. So when I was, did you hear me poop and shitting?
No.
Oh god, man. My headphones played with me right there, everybody. I apologize for that. So what I was saying right there, you guys can also, you can hear me right now,
Yeah,
Mitch?
yeah, we can.
Right? Oh man, I was going off. That was hilarious. So the point here is, on a daily basis, you need to be taking apart the emotional content inside of you. Because what would happen if you stopped pissing and shitting?
Mhm.
You stopped peeing, you stopped pooping for a week, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks. Eventually you get to the point where you die. What would happen to your digestive tract and your excretion tract, right?
Right.
It's all the same tract. What would happen? You eventually you die because that material is not supposed to be inside of you. Some people think, oh, so wait, does that mean if I stop taking apart my stuff, then I'm going to go backwards? I'm going to fall back into all the shit I was in before? No, 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 no. You're constantly being faced with new stuff on a daily basis if you're expanding.
Yep.
So for example, when you get a job, there's a certain level of organization that you then need to implement. And let's say you have to work through what you work through to get that down pat. Okay, cool. But when you get into a business, you need a new level of organization. And you might think to yourself, well, I thought I worked through this. I thought I already solved this organization point, but now I feel overwhelmed again. I feel like I'm going to die again. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, I can't handle this. This is too much. I want to quit, which is why most people quit in business.
Mhm.
But if you are working away, so you're not facing old stuff, you're facing new stuff. You actually have to rise to a new level of organization. It's not like you're facing the old point. It's the same point, but now you're playing on a new level. So it's really important that we're working through that stuff on a daily basis. And I was just telling a quick story about how this is why it's so important to be part of a group. It's so important to be part of a group, because I'll tell you, for example, right before this call, right before me and Mitch started recording, I was just chatting with somebody for about, he reached out, he said, hey, I'd like your counsel for about 30 minutes just to get your perspective on something. We talked for about 20 minutes, and again, free. It's just I know he has the same purpose as I do. He's part of YBC. We work together, and he was just asking, he said, hey, I just want some clarity on some things. At the end of the phone call, he said, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate your time. I know you got to go, but I always appreciate chopping it up with you, because I'm always way more clear at the end of my phone call. I know my next steps now. That's part of the regular process of the shit inside of you.
Yes.
Right? And if you aren't doing that on a regular basis, you're going to get that feeling of like, oh, I'm dying. I feel like so overwhelmed. That's a consequence of not defining and categorizing each little specific nugget of poop that you've been accumulating. That's what happens when you've accumulated enough of it. So Mitch, I don't know what you were saying before. I just started saying hello, and I cut you off.
No, that's good. I don't know what that beeping was, but it was exciting, right? So here's the other points, right, that are also critical to this, which ties in perfectly with what you're saying, is like you got to have a common sense daily plan that you execute every day, whether you feel like it or not. Whether you feel like you're like dying or like depressed or freaked out or whatever, where you can get the right stuff done every single day that will keep moving it forward. Because again, the world is going to go on whether you feel like it or not. You gotta stake your claim, and then you also have to start to direct the world around you, right, by first directing yourself. So if you don't have a daily plan, right, if you don't have like action items that you do every single day, if you don't have a calendar set up where you trust it and you actually follow through what's on the calendar, like okay, you're definitely not expanding, right? But again, if you're not expanding, you're contracting, and then you're gonna fucking die. So like, don't do that one, right? You have your daily plan, but then there's like baby expansion, and then there's like actual expansion. It's like self-honest expansion, like you're actually expanding, not just like a little bit like bare maintenance. Oh, you go back and forth. It's like, no, like I'm actually growing, right? So your daily plan, and you got to have a weekly plan. It's got to factor that stuff in. If you don't know how to do that, right, you can reach out to Asif or myself. Like, we can give you advice on that of what we see works well. So just send us a DM that says daily plan in all caps, right? Shout out to everyone who did the scorecard one, right? I sent you all the scorecard. So shout out daily plan, right? Hit us in the DMs with that, and we will give you some advice on that, because that shit will change your fucking life, because it'll change every day. Two other pieces, man, before we wrap it up here is have to do, like, it's so, like, this is a big one for me, right? Because I'm hitting another higher level of organization, expanding again, and it's not pleasant all the time, right? Sometimes it's like rocky and it doesn't feel good. But what I've noticed is that, and this ties into the last point, is having a partner, right? So if you guys get a wife, right? For ladies, you gotta have a husband, in order to really help you balance out. Because I was chatting with Jessica, my wife, and she helped me realize that I just wasn't perfectly clear in this one specific action. She just asked me a few questions, right? She wasn't trying to coach me. She wasn't trying to lecture to me. She was just asking me. She's like, hey, like, you seem kind of like off. What's going on? She asked me a few questions, and we pinpointed in like 15 minutes exactly what the thing was that I was missing in my daily system, because now I'm operating at a high level. It's like, boom, thanks. Okay, back to work. And that is what it looks like, right? That is the process of that perfection, right? It's the process of that expansion, and that will carry you, all the way through to the highest purpose, right? And then,
And
think about this too, man. As a group, right? As a group, as Young Billionaires Club, right? As the other groups who are in Techno Tutor, Self Perfected, things like that, we're also expanding as a group, right? And that's pretty freaking exciting.
yeah, and that's the power of first doing it for yourself, so that you're clear, and you're clear on how you have to support yourself using these tools, so you know how change works now. And then you support your partner to get on the same page as you. Because here's the thing, it's not like Mitch at the very, when he first met Jessica, that Jessica could provide that amount of value to Mitch. It was through a process of her doing the same process for herself that Mitch is doing for himself. Me doing the process for myself, and then sharing it with Maylat, my wife, and her doing the process for herself. Then she will have that specificity to weave through what I may not be able to see right now, just like Jessica did for Mitch. I had the exact same thing literally yesterday on my walk. Me and Maylat went for a walk after dinner, and I was like, she's like, what's on your mind? And I was like, I don't want to share, I don't want to burden you with that. She's like, go for it. And then literally like 10 minutes later, I'm like, wow, thank you so much. Like, things are so much more clear. I appreciate that. So that has to be part of your system. But like Mitchell is saying, other than just the relationships, the detail plan, I just want to hit on this real quick.
Yep.
The game changer from going from what I got to do to what is the detail step by step that I have to do. Whew,
Yeah.
cannot go understated.
Yeah.
Just wanted to share that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in order to now just bring this home, right? So you can use this audio here. And again, I would set a reminder to yourself 1 month from now. No, let's even just say 3 weeks from now, and then 3 more weeks from that, right? Listen to this audio again. Save it for yourself, right? Put in the watch later of your YouTube, like save the URL, and listen to this again. And set a reminder in your calendar or in your Siri or whatever. Have Alexa remind you. I don't care. Just set up some way where you're actually going to be able to hear this. And then you can really cross-reference and test yourself to see, wow, did I expand or not? Because if I'm not expanding, I got to change something, right? Again, this is the Young Billionaires Club. This is not the young, this is not the young immature club, right? This is the Billionaires Club, because this is the process by which you amass massive amounts of wealth if you weren't already born in the elite, right? Because Asif and I, right, we had similar upbringings, right? Got exposed to TV at a young age, had parents tell us stuff and then didn't explain it and all this stuff, right? So we've had to perfect this within ourselves, right? Reprogram ourselves, dismantle all these emotions and these characters and all this crap within us. So now all of it is in alignment with where exactly we intend to be, and we have to expand there every day. So for yourself, right, set a reminder to listen to this again, and then write out for yourself, what does expansion look like? And then in detail, write out, what is your detailed daily plan? Then the last part's, as you know, right, go share this with 3 people who need to hear it. Join the Young Billionaires Club, come into the Discord chat, and we will continue to talk about this because we keep expanding as a group, and it is one of the most inspiring things I've ever found, man. So that's it for me. What do you think?
That's part of expansion, baby. We need to be reminded more than we need to learn new things per se. So we're always going to be going into greater details about very similar concepts. But just know that if you listen to this in 3 weeks from now, and you actually apply the stuff, you're going to the moon. So we'll see you guys on the next one.
Heck yeah.